Karma is striking back. Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever witnessed someone walk others, then walk away as if life has no consequences? It's a bitter pill to swallow. Witnessing individuals get rewards for their karma is not about vengeance, it is about balance. Life has a way of balancing the scales. What you send out eventually comes back to you. It may take weeks, months, or even years, but when it arrives, it strikes with accuracy. And the most poetic part, it typically arrives after you've stopped expecting it. However, we rarely admit that karma serves as a mirror, not only for them, but also for ourselves. Before we get caught up with how karma is reacting to them, let us ask ourselves a question. What am I sending into the world? Because while karma may bring justice to others, it also keeps track of you and me. Our actions, intentions, and words all contribute to the narrative of our lives. It's wise to let life do its thing. You don't have to relish someone else's downfall. You do not need to wish harm on people who have mistreated you. Instead, focus on your own trip. Be the type of person whose karma results in blessings rather than problems. So, when you witness karma in action, accept it as a lesson rather than a cause for celebration. Smile because the universe is constantly watching and its scales are always balanced. Allow the world to witness your progress, grace, and goodness, and let karma take care of the rest. The universal law of balance. Ladies and gentlemen, life is a system of equilibrium. Every action, every word, and every purpose we have causes a ripple in the universe. These ripples may appear insignificant at first, but they always return to their sources. This is the essence of karma, the cosmic law of balance, in which every action elicits a response, and every deed plants a seed for what is to come. Consider the simplicity of nature. The sun rises and sets, and tides ebb and flow. When we plant a seed, we do not expect to harvest it the next day. It takes time for the seed to germinate, grow, and produce fruit. Similarly, our acts, whether good or harmful, start processes in motion. Karma operates in the same way. You will reap what you have sown. It may not happen instantly, and you may not anticipate it, but the end is unavoidable. You might be wondering why those who promote negativity and harm seem to thrive, but others who live with kindness and honesty struggle. It's because karma follows its own time frame, not ours. You don't always see the seeds that others have sown. Instead, you see the surface. But life is patient. It gives people time to make decisions and follow their paths before producing results. Trust that the equilibrium is always restored, even if you are not present to see it. Consider a stone tossed into a still pond. The ripples spread out, striking every surface of the water before returning to the center. Similarly, when we behave, whether with love or hatred, we create ripples that will eventually return to us. This law of balance is not prejudiced. It does not choose sides. It just reflects the energy that we have placed into the planet. This is why it is critical to be attentive of our decisions. Every word we say, every decision we make, and every intention we have affects not only our present, but also our future. When we act with love, compassion, and integrity, we cause ripples that bring the same gifts back to us. However, when we act with cruelty, selfishness, or lying, the universe assures that those waves return with equal force. Let me use a simple anecdote to demonstrate this concept. There was once a farmer who decided to defraud his neighbor by selling damaged seeds. The neighbor, ignorant, sowed the seeds and waited for his harvest. When nothing sprouted, he suffered terribly. But the narrative did not stop there. Over time, the farmer's own crops failed, his land became barren, and his reputation deteriorated. You see, while the farmer felt he had gotten away with his scheme, karma had already put it into action. His acts had unexpected consequences, balancing the balances. But this is when the law of balance gets genuinely profound. It isn't only about punishment and reward. Karma is not a vengeful force aiming to harm us. It's the teacher. Its purpose is to show us the consequences of our actions and guide us in the right direction. When we face the repercussions of our decisions, whether good or poor, it provides an opportunity to reflect, learn, and better align ourselves with the ideals we wish to live by. This is why it is critical to focus on what we have control over. We can't control how people behave, and we can't always see the consequences of their decisions. However, we can choose to act with intention, love, and integrity, knowing that the universe is constantly observing, balancing, and fair. So remember that karma never forgets. It doesn't require your assistance to balance the scales. Believe in the global law of balance and concentrate on sowing the seeds of a life you'll be glad to reap. Lessons about retribution. It is natural to get angry when someone wrongs you. It's intuitive to seek vengeance, to watch them suffer the misery they created. But today, I'd like you to look at karma from a new angle, not as an instrument for revenge. Karma is not about punishment. It's about learning, growth, and balance. It's not meant to hurt. It is there to help the greater good. Let us begin by comprehending the futility of revenge. When we get obsessed with vengeance, we become inextricably linked to the people and actions that have harmed us. We become resentful prisoners, remembering the pain they created while devising strategies to make them suffer the same way. But does that genuinely make us better, or does it trap us in the same darkness we despise? Revenge may feel pleasant in the moment, but it does not address the underlying problem. Karma, on the other hand, transcends our feelings. It does not desire vengeance, it wants balance. When someone acts out of greed, hatred, or dishonesty, they break the balance, not only in the world, but also inside themselves. Karma operates silently, teaching people rather than punishing them. Their inevitable challenges are not curses, but rather lessons that show the repercussions of their choices and allow them to change. Consider this. Have you ever seen someone who offended you experience difficulties later in life? Perhaps they lost something valuable to them. Perhaps they appear to be locked in a cycle of unhappiness. It is tempting to say that they received what they deserved, but take a step back. What is happening is more than just retaliation. It is a mirror being held up to their behavior. The universe is giving people the opportunity to reflect, learn, and grow. But this is where we come in. If we hang on to bitterness or enjoy someone else's pain, we are sowing seeds of negativity in our own life. We are inviting karma to teach us, because karma does not discriminate. The force that keeps others accountable also holds us accountable. Instead of yearning for vengeance, we should pray for change, not only in them, but also in ourselves. A wise person once remarked that holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die when you let go of your desire for vengeance. You set yourself free, you let karma do its work, while you focus on what is truly important, your growth, happiness, and peace of mind. Let me offer a tale to demonstrate this. There was once a young woman whose dearest friend betrayed her in the worst possible way. The woman was terribly hurt by the betrayal, and for months she couldn't stop thinking about ways to damage her friend. But with time, she recognized that her desire for vengeance was eating her. She wasn't recuperating, she was still in the same misery that her friend had caused. So she let go. She resolved to concentrate on herself, her goals, desires, and well-being, and as she moved forward, she witnessed her old body endure challenges she could not have predicted. Karma had caught up, but the woman no longer cared about vengeance. She had grown out of it, realizing that karma's purpose was to teach, not destroy. This is the power of letting karma take the initiative. It helps you to concentrate on improving your life, while remaining certain that the equilibrium will be restored in its own time. It's not about watching others collapse. It is about releasing oneself from the consequences of their actions. It is about realizing that life is not about getting even. It is about becoming more stronger. So, the next time someone wrongs you, avoid the impulse to take retribution. Instead, allow karma to teach you its lessons while you focus on your own. Trust that the universe will handle justice. And believe in yourself to rise beyond the agony. Because in the end, the finest retribution isn't karma striking back. You're moving forward. Patience and justice. We live in a world where we expect instant results with the click of a button or the push of a screen. Everything is at our fingertips. Yet karma does not operate in that manner. Karma is not fast food. It's a slow-cooked dinner packed with lessons and seasoned with time. When we've been harmed or wronged, many of us find it difficult to be patient enough to wait for justice to be served. It's normal to desire an immediate conclusion. We want the individual who misled us to face the repercussions now, not later. But life, in its great wisdom, does not follow our schedule. It operates on a schedule that provides the greatest impact. You see, karma does not just strike, it waits for the right moment. The one where the lesson will have the greatest impact. Consider the concept of a seed. When you plant it in the ground, you don't have to dig it up every day to see how it's growing. You water it, expose it to sunlight, and wait. Over time, the seed develops into something beautiful or fruitful. Karma is like that. When someone spreads seeds of malice, deception, or greed, they do not blossom immediately. However, given enough time, they will mature into the exact harvest they have sowed, whether they like it or not. This is why patience is essential. When you are hooked on someone receiving what they deserve, you wind up tying yourself to their behavior. You expend valuable energy watching, waiting, and praying for their demise. However, doing so causes you to lose focus on your own life. You stop developing and progressing. This is the irony of impatience. It does not penalize them, it penalizes you. Take a time to dwell on this. What if the delay in karma's justice is also part of your lesson? After all, the timing of karma is not solely about them, it is about you. About providing you space to heal, grow, and move on. Let me tell you a tale to explain this. There was a man who worked relentlessly at his job, only to be deceived by a colleague who took credit for his efforts. The treachery cost him a promotion and left him resentful for years. He waited, hoping to witness his comrades collapse, but nothing happened. The coworker thrived, while the man remained angry. Things only began to change after the man let go of his fixation. He concentrated on restoring his job, connections, and personal life. Years later, he learned that the same colleague had been involved in a huge scandal, losing everything he had won. By then, the man no longer needed to celebrate his colleague's downfall. He had gotten past it, realizing that karma had done its job in its own time. This is the beauty of patience. When you trust karma to handle justice, you relieve yourself of the burden of bitterness. You let life take its course, focusing on what is actually important: your path, your contentment, and your delight. Patience does not imply ignoring the wrongs done to you. It entails believing that the universe sees everything and will balance the scales when the time is appropriate. Sometimes the lesson is in seeing how long it takes someone to face their consequences. It demonstrates that karma isn't about cruelty. It's about timing. The cosmos waits till they're ready to learn, and sometimes that readiness takes years, but when it does, it brings clarity and weight that no swift justice could ever match. So please don't squander your life waiting for karma to hit. Allow it to perform its thing while you complete yours. Trust that justice will prevail, not when you want it, but when it is most merited. Because karma does not require your supervision, it simply requires you to believe. Accountability is unavoidable. Ladies and gentlemen, accountability is a powerful word, isn't it? We prefer to talk about fairness, justice, and repercussions when it comes to others. But how often do we consider our own actions and decisions? Today, as we discuss the inevitability of accountability, I'd like to remind you of a basic truth. No one, and I mean no one, escapes the repercussions of their actions. Life has a way of keeping score, and karma maintains the balance. Let us begin with a painful but necessary reality. Whether we realize it or not, every decision we make causes something to happen. Our actions have far-reaching consequences, influencing others and shaping our destiny. Some people live as if they are immune from this reality. They deceive, steal, or injure others. They believe they are too brilliant, powerful, or lucky to bear the repercussions. But let me tell you about karma. It does not require authorization to show up. Accountability is not a question of whether or not, but rather of when, and the illusion of avoiding repercussions. Sometimes it appears that certain people get away with their wrongdoings. You witness them living happily, collecting benefits, and walking away undamaged, leaving the people they've hurt to pick up the pieces. Isn't it infuriating? However, appearances can be deceiving. What you're experiencing is not an escape from responsibility. It is a delay. Karma doesn't follow a human schedule. It is not limited by our timelines or aspirations. While someone may achieve brief success by falsehoods or selfishness, they are building on flimsy ground. Eventually, the fissures will appear. The weight of their decisions will catch up with them, and the collapse will be unavoidable. Accountability is like a shadow. It follows you everywhere. You cannot outrun, outsmart, or overpower it. The person who betrays a friend may not experience the consequences right once, but the betrayal plants the seed of distrust and negativity, which will grow. Perhaps it will emerge as broken relationships, missed chances, or even internal distress. Karma does more than only punish misdeeds. It also treats the energy and intentions that drive them, ensuring that balance is restored in ways we may not immediately see. Accountability as a mirror. But here it is about you and me. It's simple to point fingers and demand justice from those who have harmed us. It is much more difficult to look in the mirror and ask ourselves, what am I accountable for? Karma does not only affect those who have injured us, it affects everyone, including ourselves. Every time we act in wrath, selfishness, or indifference, we are sowing seeds for our own harvest. That's why self-reflection is so crucial. Ask yourself, am I proud of the energy I'm putting into the world? Am I creating the life I wish to live? Or am I establishing a negative cycle that will eventually catch up to me? Accountability is not only unavoidable, but also necessary. It's the force that keeps us honest, grounded, and committed to our ideals. Without it, we would get complacent, believing we could behave without consequence. However, when we know that karma also holds us accountable, we are reminded to live with integrity, kindness, and intention. Stories about accountability. People throughout history have believed they could avoid accountability only to be confronted with it in unexpected ways. Consider leaders who abused their power only to lose everything when the truth was revealed. or individuals who built their empires on the backs of others, only to discover that their empires crumbled due to a lack of trust and integrity. But accountability does not always manifest itself. Sometimes it's silent and internal. The sorrow, regret, or emptiness that someone feels when they realize how much hurt they have caused might be the most severe punishment. Karma is more than just external consequences. It's about an internal reckoning that drives people to face the consequences of their actions. There was once a successful businessman who made his money by exploiting his employees and cutting corners. For years he lived in luxury, believing he was untouchable. But as he grew older, he became secluded. His family did not respect him, his employees loathed him, and his health began to suffer. On his deathbed, he told a buddy, "I have everything I ever wanted, but I have lost everything that matters." That was karma at work, not in the form of public disgrace, but in the silent recognition of the emptiness these acts had caused. Why is accountability important? Accountability is not something to be feared. It's something you should embrace. It serves as a reminder that our decisions are important, that our actions have consequences, and that our lives are interconnected. When we embrace accountability, we have control of our future. We cease blaming others for our difficulties and instead look within to create adjustments. Think about it. How different would the world be if more people accepted accountability? If leaders recognize their faults rather than assigning blame? Accountability is a strength when people accept responsibility for their actions rather than creating excuses. It enables us to mature, learn, and become better versions of ourselves, allowing karma to do its thing. But what about those who refuse to be accountable? What about people who harm others and show no remorse? That's when karma comes in. It is not your role to impose accountability on others. It is not your responsibility to show them the folly of their ways. Karma will handle it. Your primary attention should be on your personal journey. Don't let others' lack of accountability bring you down. Don't let their activities sap your vitality or disturb your tranquility. Trust that life has a way of balancing the balances, even if you can't see it. The choice is yours. Finally, accountability comes down to making decisions. You can choose to behave with integrity, knowing that your actions will have a beneficial impact on the world, or to act selfishly, knowing that those ripples will eventually return to you. The beauty of karma lies in its fairness. It gives everyone what they deserve, nothing more, nothing less. So as you go through life, realize that accountability is unavoidable, but it is also liberating. It's an opportunity to take responsibility for your actions, learn from your mistakes, and develop into the person you're destined to be. And for those who shun it, those who believe they can escape the consequences of their actions, remember that karma never forgets. Concentrate on your own improvement. When we hear the term karma, we frequently envision it as a force that causes other people to receive cosmic retribution for wrongdoing. But today, I'd like to shift the focus. Karma is about more than simply other people's deeds. It also includes our own. It's about the energy we expend in the world and the life we build for ourselves. And the most important lesson karma teaches us is to focus on our own growth rather than what is happening to others, which is the risk of fixation. It's easy to get swept up in someone else's path. Perhaps they have mistreated you, abused your confidence, or caused you anguish. Naturally, you want to hold people accountable. You want them to face the repercussions of their conduct, but here's the issue. The more you focus on them, the less energy you have left for yourself. When you spend your days watching and waiting and praying for someone else's demise, is effectively giving them control over your life. You're giving them space in your head and heart, allowing them to affect your emotions and guide your course. That obsession might form a chain preventing you from moving forward. But let me tell you something, karma does not require your help. The universe does not require you to keep track or function as a judge. It's already working in the background to ensure that everyone, including you, receives exactly what they deserve. Your role is not to manage someone else's karma. Your responsibility is to focus on your own development, healing, and journey. The significance of letting go. Letting go does not imply ignoring what happened or pretending it did not hurt. It entails liberating oneself from the burden of resentment. It entails refusing to allow another person's actions dictate your life. When you let go, you regain your power, you regain your energy and focus it on creating a life that makes you proud. Consider it this way. Every minute you spend angry, bitter, or focused on someone else, you are not investing in yourself. That's time you could spend pursuing your aspirations, strengthening your relationships, or finding tranquility. When you move your focus away from them and toward yourself, you begin to recognize the great possibilities for personal improvement through self-reflection. Self-reflection is necessary when focusing on one's own improvement. It entails searching inward and asking difficult questions. Am I living in line with my values? Am I showing others the compassion and respect that I demand in return? What can I learn from my positive and negative experiences? Karma is not limited to what happens to others. It matters what happens to you. Every action, idea, and purpose you put into the world influences your future. By focusing on becoming the best version of yourself, you ensure that the karma you attract is beneficial and fulfilling. Self-reflection also helps you detect patterns. Perhaps the pain you've endured has taught you to create tighter boundaries. Perhaps it has shown you the value of surrounding yourself with people who inspire and support you. Whatever the lesson, accept it. Growth isn't always simple, but it's always worthwhile. Freedom and forgiveness. Forgiveness is one of the most significant stages toward focusing on your own personal progress. Let's be clear. Forgiveness does not excuse poor behavior or let someone off the hook. It entails letting go of the emotional attachment you have to their conduct. It's about saying, I'm not going to let this define me. I will not bear this misery any longer. Forgiveness is not for them, but for you. It's a method for removing the emotional clutter that is impeding your progress. When you forgive, you do not condone what happened. You've decided to put your tranquility over your misery. In doing so, you create space for development, joy, and healing. Focusing on your personal improvement requires you to look ahead rather than back. It entails acknowledging that your future is far more significant than the pain of your past. When you gaze forward, you begin to see opportunities rather than roadblocks. You understand that every difficulty, setback, and disappointment presents an opportunity to learn and improve. Consider the most successful people you know, not just in terms of profession or fortune, but also in terms of joy and contentment. They are likely to endure adversity, but rather than concentrating on what went wrong, they use those experiences to fuel their development. They learned their lessons and left the suffering behind. You can accomplish the same by focusing on your personal development. You use every event, good or terrible, as a stepping stone to a better version of yourself. You become robust, flexible, and unstoppable, celebrating your trip. Growth is not a destination, it is a trip. It's about celebrating both minor and huge successes. Perhaps you have learned to set boundaries. Perhaps you've rekindled a previously abandoned enthusiasm. Perhaps you simply discovered a method to wake up every day with hope. These are all evidence of progress, and they should be acknowledged. Take time to consider how far you've come. Celebrating your path reinforces the idea that your life is about you. not what anybody else has done or will do, resulting in a ripple effect. When you focus on your own development, you generate a ripple effect. Your optimism, perseverance, and determination encourage people around you. You demonstrate that it is possible to overcome hardship, heal, and prosper. And by doing so, you help to create a society in which karma does not have to work as hard because more people choose compassion, accountability, and progress. This ripple effect benefits not only others, but also you. The energy you put into the world returns to you, multiplied. By focusing on your development, you attract opportunities, relationships, and experiences that reflect your best self. The final lesson. Finally, karma is about taking responsibility for yourself and others. While it ensures that everyone bears the repercussions of their actions, it also allows you to focus on what is most important, your personal development. So, the next time you're tempted to focus on someone else's karma, ask yourself,